Good afternoon. Today I am going to present a very important aspect of food packaging, which is a technologically advanced type of system, and it is known as intelligent packaging system. So under intelligent packaging system, my today's topic will be based on quality indicators which are used in intelligent packaging food systems. So first let us discuss about what is an intelligent packaging. So an intelligent packaging is a type of packaging where the system, the food packaging system may contain an internal or an external indicator that will indicate information about the aspect of the history of the food package or the food quality. That means basically as consumer, what I am going to know is whether the food packaging is perfect or whether the food quality is perfect through the use of indicators. Now this intelligent packaging system uses three different types of indicators which are basically divided into three broad categories. First is the indicator for product quality, next comes the indicator for consumer convenience, and third for indicators for product tampering. Now the indicators for product quality are based on three different types of indicators. The first type is the quality indicators, the second type is the time temperature indicators, and the third type is the gas concentration indicators. The second category of indicators, we have indicators for consumer convenience, which mainly uses indicators which are used during food preparation or any kind of cooking process. The third type of indicators indicates the tampering of any food packaging system. So whether any type of theft, counterfeiting or tampering has been done in any food packets, that is indicated by the tamper evident indicators. So in today's lecture we will focus on the indicators for product quality. The quality indicators, they are also known as freshness indicators. It indicates the acceptability of any product during storage, during transportation, in consumer homes and during retailing of the product. So these indicators basically undergoes a permanent change in color which helps the consumer to detect whether the food is good or bad. So when any food is getting spoiled or it is in storage condition, different types of chemicals are formed like aldehydes, diacetyls, amines, organic acid, ammonia. These are usually detected by the use of these indicators. Also, suppose there are some food which are getting spoiled. So this spoiled food, especially in case of raw fruits and vegetables, they releases certain chemicals which can be biogenic amines, it can be cadmium, putrescine or histamine, which can also be indicated by this type of quality indicators. One such quality indicators today I will discuss, which is a commercial product, which is RipeSense sensor. So this RipeSense sensor has been developed in New Zealand and it usually used for detection of food ripening. So all the volatiles that are released during the ripening process of a fruit like alcohol, aldehydes, esters, amines, so all these are detected by the use of this RipeSense indicators. So the sensor level that is there, as you can see in the figure, that it is attached to a PET clamshell pannet and the whole package is sealed by a tamper evident sealing. So this is the sensor, and if the sensor is red while packaging, it is usually red. Red indicates the fruit is unripe or it is in firm or crispy condition. As time passes during storage in the retail area, it usually the ripening process starts and it becomes semi-ripe when the indicator shows orange color. Then finally when it becomes fully ripe, then the sensor shows yellow color, which can be easily interpreted by the color change here by any consumer. The next type of product quality indicators which I am going to discuss is the time temperature indicators. So this time temperature indicators indicate temperature exposure of any food product over a period of time. So depending on the exposure level, the amount of temperature exposure, the change of color, the color concentration can be detected. Okay, so there are two different categories of indicators that are available in time temperature indicator. One is called the partial history indicator, another is called the full history indicator. So the partial history indicators are basically indicating temperature exposure to a certain threshold temperature value. Means as soon as that temperature, that threshold temperature is reached, it will show a color change. Whereas the full history indicator shows continuous exposure to temperature over all the range of temperature that is the product getting exposed to. So now time temperature indicators can be divided into many categories. I have discussed a few. The first category is called the chemical TTIs or chemical time temperature indicators. So we all know that any chemical reaction increases with temperature, the rate of reaction increases. So here the chemical reaction changes the color of the indicators. So two of these commercial products are shown in the slide. One is called the Fresh Check TTIs, another is called the On-Do TTIs. In Fresh Check TTIs, there is a circular color band that you can see, and the center of the band is colorless, means it is not any dark color, it is red colored, and it is usually lighter than the color of the outside circle. So when this type of condition is there, that means it indicates that the product quality is alright and you can use it conveniently. After that comes this condition where the center color and the outside color becomes equal. So when this stage is reached, that means still you can use this product, but after this the product may deteriorate. And the last stage of this indicator is where the center becomes darker than the outside band. At this stage you should not consume the product because it is completely spoiled. So in case of on-go time temperature indicators, the freshness of the food product is only detected by a series of change in color, unlike the fresh check one. So here, as the color of the indicator is darker, that means it is fresh. With temperature exposure it becomes lighter and lighter, and finally when it becomes completely faded, then it is not fresh and it is not good for consumption. Next we have another category of time temperature indicators which are called physical time temperature indicators. So physical time temperature indicators are mainly based on the fact that there is a dye or a colored chemical that uses diffusion through a phase. Okay, so with time and temperature, the color diffusion of the color through that layer or through that phase happens, which indicates a certain food product quality. So one such commercial product is monitor mark. So in monitor mark you can see that the color dye that is there, it is isolated at a particular point. So when the temperature exposure of that product happens, the dye gets dispersed into the layer, and more exposure can actually increases the dispersion of that dye, and it progresses in the linear phase, which can be seen through these windows 2, 3, 4, 5, like you can see in the diagram. So this is how physical temperature indicator works. Now let us discuss about physicochemical temperature indicators. Physicochemical indicators are actually a dual indicators which uses two different types of characteristic. Like one is they simultaneously uses the chromatic property of a pH indicator as well as they uses the diffusion property of that type. Okay, so here what happens is this, like you can see here the TT sensor that you can see, the acid that is isolated in one part of the indicator, it remains isolated until a temperature is reached. As the temperature exposure is happening, the acid start to disperse throughout the indicator. It changes the color of the indicator from yellow to pink. More and more exposure, more and more acid dispersal, and more change in color from yellow to pink. Next set of time temperature indicators are biochemical and biological time temperature indicators. This indicators uses both biochemical reactions and biological system in order to indicate food quality. Like here we can also use some cold resistance, non-pathogenic, acid producing lactobacillus species as the tool for indicators. So there are two different types of reactions that can happen in two different types of indicators that I have shown in the slide. In the first one, which is known as checkpoint, it uses the biochemical reaction of an enzyme and substrate. So there is an enzyme which is called glycerol hexanoate. It reacts with an substrate. It reacts with an enzyme lipase, and it gives a color reaction to the enzyme substrate reaction. So more and more exposure to temperature, that means more intense is the color. You can see in the diagram that 25% exposure has happened. It is completely green in color. Then slowly the temperature rises, and more exposure, when it is 100%, it becomes orange. It is now becoming darker red at 120%. So more exposure of temperature with time, more and more reaction of enzyme and substrate, and it gives a colored reaction product. So this checkpoint is based on a biochemical reaction. Now comes the EOTTIS. Okay, so EOTTIS is another commercial product where they uses a particular culture which is lactobacillus species in frozen condition in order to detect the color change. So what they use is, basically they uses a nutrition media for the organism, then they use the organism, as well as they use some pH indicator dye. Okay, now all these things they mix together, they make a label and they keep it in frozen condition. Now these labels are pasted on the packaging system. As soon as there is temperature exposure, then this frozen label becomes thawed, and due to thawing, the lactobacillus that is present in the label, it starts growing using the nutrient media and start producing acid. So as soon as it starts producing acid, the pH indicator that is present in the label, it starts changing color. Okay, with more and more acid production, more and more color change. So initially when it is in frozen condition, it is usually green. That means the product is fresh. It does not have any temperature exposure. But when there is exposure, then it becomes pink due to release of acid. So now you cannot guarantee the freshness of this product. The third category of product quality indicators are the gas concentration indicators. So the gas concentration indicators basically indicates the amount of or trace amount of gases that can be present in a food packets. Especially it is helpful for detection of gases in modified atmospheric packaging. Now what are the changes that can happen in a food packet? Why these gases are producing? See, there can be enzymatic reactions, there can be respiration of raw foods, then there can be absorption, desorption, there can be faulty packaging, leaks, pinholes. So all this may cause exchange of gases through packaging, which is why these indicators are necessary. So they either show a colorimetric change or they show a luminescence change. Now most of the gas concentration indicators are oxygen based and they are oxygen indicators. So I have shown two such commercial oxygen indicators. The principle of these two indicators are same. They use a particular dye which is called methylene blue. Now methylene blue, when it is in its oxidized state or leucoform, it is usually colorless. So we cannot see a colorless indicator. So for that a background color has been provided. Pink background color has been given, for which dye acid red 52 has been used. Okay. So in leucoform, when methylene blue does not have any color, we will see that there is pink color of the indicator. Now as soon as there is oxygen, so below this 0.1% oxygen, there will be no color change because that much oxygen is tolerable. It does not significantly hamper the fruit quality. So up to that oxygen concentration, the indicator will not respond. After that, as the oxygen concentration increases and when it reaches more than equal to 0.5%, slowly more and more oxygen reacts with the methylene blue and it is reduced. So the reduced methylene blue is usually blue in color, and finally it when the intensity of the methylene blue is very high, then it becomes completely blue in color. Now in spite of so much convenience factor, in spite of so much easy interpretation, there are three different limitations of the commercial success of the quality indicators. First is they are expensive. If you see the per unit cost of manufacturing, it is expensive as compared to normal indicators. Then we have one of the major drawbacks is the lack of awareness between the manufacturer as well as the consumer, and due to this lack of awareness, suppose any manufacturer want to use it, then either they mishandle the product or they have an improper storage temperature, which is why these indicators may give false positive result, causing huge losses to the manufacturer. So that is all for this quality indicators.